Good day, sports fans and sports handicappers. From Las Vegas, it is gamblersworld.net NFL Preview Week 7. I'm your host, Chip Chirimbes, and this week, of course, we have Vegas's best with us. Mr. Vegas, Jim Feist, Hall of Fame handicapper, will be with us analyzing and giving his opinions and insights on this week's NFL action. Jim, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Chip. Good to see you and Paul again.
And, of course, we have Paul Bovi. Now, Paul, of course, is the silent killer. You know, the bookies hate him. 9-1 the last 2 weekends coming into this week. Paul, did you fare as well? I mean, with all those favorites winning this week, did you fare as well in the NFL this week?
No, it wasn't great. It was good, not great. I did lose the free play last week with Tennessee. Indy got back some players I wasn't expecting. We didn't get a performance from Will Levis, unfortunately. Below 100 yards, that's not going to cut it. And Tennessee fell. But our free plays have been fantastic in college and pro, but we're going to miss them once in a while. But all in all, it was a decent weekend.
All right, very good. I'm Chip Chirimbes, Las Vegas Hilton World Champion handicapper, and I did win my Megabuck plays both on Saturday and Sunday. Those are the single strongest plays on the board. But, Jim, like you said, the favorites had their way on Sunday in the NFL, and it didn't work out too well for me on Sunday. Saturday was a banner day, of course, with Oregon on top. Now, Jim, we're 6 weeks into the NFL right now. We have 12 weeks to go. I mean, what are your surmise so far, and what do you think's going to unfold the rest of the way that might surprise people?
Well, let me go off on a little bit of a tangent. First of all, Paul mentioned about the Colts game. I was a little pissed because of this. I had the other side, and because of the injury report and Richardson starting for the Colts, you talk about transparency. The injury report that came out for the Colts during the week had 4 or 5 players that were not going to play. And you turn the TV on and they're all there playing. So, you put down your money thinking one thing based on the injury. This makes me mad because we are, and the NFL and everybody, they're all making money from the gambling now. They got to get into the integrity game. Tell us the truth. That's just my rant for the day. As far as the favorites in the last week, home underdogs in the NFL have always been kind of a staple. Right. Bet the home underdogs, you're not going to do too bad. 0-8 last week. 0-8. They lost every game.
That's pretty tough. I know I struggled on Sunday. My only winner was a favorite, as a matter of fact. Paulie, what do you got? Anything cooking this weekend after 2 great weeks? You came off and mediocre, you said, this past week. But I know you had Texas on top. And what a great play that was as they romped as a 14-point favorite over Oklahoma.
Yeah, Texas was great. It was my biggest play. I just didn't see Oklahoma competing, and Texas got us the money. It started off a little sluggish, but Texas eventually pulled away. But look, I'm going to have, as I always say, probably 3 to 5 plays in the NFL. I didn't love the card last week. I do like the card this week. I favor it a little bit more. Going to have a few totals for sure. Thursday night game is already up. I don't ordinarily post a Thursday night game just because I don't like it enough to post it. But tonight I do like the game if you're seeing this on Thursday. So, count on a few plays, count on a few winners, and hopefully we'll cash some tickets.
All right, Paulie, thank you. Before we get to these 3 games here that we're going to analyze today, be sure to give us a like and a subscribe, and you'll be able to get our insights every week. You'll be notified. So just give us a like as we move on right here. I'm going to 3 games of interest, and Paulie, I'll start with you. I'll stay with you. I'm going to go in schedule order. Detroit goes to Minnesota, undefeated Vikings, a very small favorite at home, 5-0 against the number. Detroit is 4-1 against the number and straight up, and just annihilated the Dallas Cowboys, who I know Jim is just enamored with this entire season. And Paulie, how do you see this Viking game? Do you think the Vikings and the Lions, that the Vikings can keep up the good work at 50.5 is the total?
Well, that loss of Hutchinson is definitely going to have an impact. There is no question, because the Lions defense hasn't been great to this point. They did shut down Dallas, but a lot of teams shut down Dallas. I mean, Baltimore shut them down for 3 quarters. and New Orleans shut them down. So and even the Giants pretty much kept them in check. So that really doesn't mean much. And I've seen Detroit. We've all seen them. They let Seattle pretty much go up and down the field. They struggled a bit with the Rams early. So I could see Detroit having some trouble with Minnesota stopping their attack. Now, Sam Darnold has taken a step back. He didn't look great in that Jet game last week. Jets put the clamps on the offense, but I think they'll get it started again. And I think you'll see some points here.
Me too.
Frankly, I expected this number to go up. It opened 50.5, came down to 49, is back up to 50.5. And I could see this getting into the high 50s.
All right. Thank you, Paulie. Jim, these two played, closed the season for the Vikings last year in the playoffs. Detroit beat them 30-20. Do you think that had any effect on the Vikings coming in and their mentality toward the Lions here?
Well, Chipper, you played sports at a high level. You know that it does because players remember. And they say, okay, maybe I could have done this better, or that, how did they get me? What did the guy do? It is one-on-one in a lot of situations. Of course it has. The one thing about when you win 47-9 over America's team, and Jerry Jones, the greatest general manager owner in the world, you're going to get you're going to get too much credit. And losing Hutchinson's big. I don't know how many points it is to the line. Some people say 1, some people say 3. It's huge because he's a player that you just don't replace. This is the tough spot. Minnesota is sitting there waiting for them, maybe being a little discredited. They're good. It's going to be a hell of a battle. I think it's a tough battle. I think you're going to see a lot of points in the game. The thing about the Dallas, and let me point this out about Dallas, any team that can run the ball well, I'm talking about very well, is going to destroy Dallas because they can't stop the running game. And Detroit is one of them that they can run the ball. They have a great offensive line, great backs. Right. And Goff is playing at a very high level, and their coaching is very spirited. I like their head coach. It's going to be a hell of a game. I'm really looking forward to it.
The number's 50.5, I think, is going to go over. The last time they played, it was 30-20. And the last 3 times they played, it's gone over the total. So, that's a game of interest without a doubt. And you can get our premier opinions on this by following the buy links at gamblersworld.net. Jim Feist and Paul Bovi along with Chip Chirimbes. Next game's a game of interest. Of course, we've seen this matchup almost every year, at least once, Kansas City and San Francisco going head-to-head. Jim, we have the Niners, a very small favorite. They don't seem to be able to get over the hump against this Chiefs team. Kansas City coming 5-0. Many think that they're very fortunate to be undefeated at this time.
Well, I'll go back to the Super Bowl. The analysis, this is a rematch of the Super Bowl. It's a revenge game for San Francisco. The head coaching issue, both of them get a lot of credit. But Spags, the defensive coordinator for Kansas City, is, in my opinion, the best in the business. And I think that's why they won the Super Bowl last year, because they were definitely down at the wide receiver position. They're kind of back in that situation again because of injuries. So, this is a home team giving one home field doesn't have that much value anymore in the NFL. A lot of people saying, "Oh, revenge." Well, maybe the biggest issue in the game is there's no McCaffrey, and that is huge for San Francisco. So I think it's a very, very tough game. I have absolutely no play. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, no, that's fine. But, Mason, who's taken McCaffrey's place, leads the NFC in rushing attempts. And, Paulie, before everyone gives us a like, Kansas City's beaten this team 4 straight times, and 6 out of the last 7 times they played them. Do you think the beat goes on here?
Look, Andy Reid off a bye has been, he's been lights out. But I'm actually with Jim. I looked at the game, and when I have to look too hard, too long, it means it's kind of a pass. So I'm going to end up probably with a prop or 2 on the game, and that's it. But okay. I can a case for either side. Brock Purdy's been playing great. San Francisco has been moving the ball. It's just that they haven't been closing out. They've been just losing, close games.
Yeah.
So, Kansas City definitely down a notch at the receiver position, but somehow Patrick Mahomes seems to wave that magic wand and get wins. So I'm just going to sit back, watch the game, look for a prop, and that's it.
All right. Thank you, Paulie. And remember, gamblersworld.net. Follow the buy links. Jim Feist, Premium Plays, Best Bets, along with Paul Bovi and myself, Chip Chirimbes. And give us a like as well. This last game, guys, I had to bring it up because I'm confused, totally confused. And I figured both of you guys, after I'm through talking to you, I might have a better insight or understanding. The Jets are at Pittsburgh. The Jets are favored in this game. And after what we saw, and we've seen Rodgers perform so far this season, the level he's been at, how do you justify the Jets coming up the favorite at Pittsburgh? And Paulie, I'll start with you.
Well, first of all, Pittsburgh is just not that good. I mean, the Raiders actually had a 7-6 lead with 2 minutes to go in the half. And then there was a turnover. And look, Pittsburgh ended up converting, getting points, getting a touchdown. And there was also a situation where there was a roughing the passer, which negated a turnover.
Right.
So I just don't see Pittsburgh is being able to score many points here. There was also a block punt in there as well, which tacked on a couple points. So,
but that's all part of it. Defense is, it's part of the game, and they force those turnovers and force those points on that end. And it's always been their way, hasn't it? I mean, as far as the Steelers are concerned.
Well, my point is the offense was relatively anemic against the Raiders. And the offense has not been stellar, and thus they're talking about replacing Justin Fields, which is more than likely going to happen on Sunday, and Russell Wilson is finally going to get his shot. And I don't think there's going to be much of a dramatic improvement there. So I think the Jets, having acquired Adams, the Jets could have had a better fate on Monday night.
Right. And Jim, last week, Paulie said right here that he didn't believe the Steelers would end up at 500, over 500. So, I mean, his train of thought is right in line with what he said last week. He just doesn't think they're all that good. They beat a terrible Raiders team last week. But how do you see this game here? I'm still surprised with Adams coming over that the Steelers are not favored in this game at home.
Right. Well, by the way, again, Monday night, 2 field goals were missed by Greg Zuerlein. I mean, they just could have won the game. Granted, the Jets didn't look good on the first drive. Buffalo pretty much cut them up on the ground, even though they didn't have James Cook in the lineup, and they had a fortunate touchdown at the end of the half on a Hail Mary. But still, the Jets played commendably against a pretty good team, and I feel that Buffalo is much better than Pittsburgh. I don't really have a high opinion of the Steelers offensively, and I think defensively, look, they've shown cracks. So that's all I'm going to say. I think the Jets win the game.
Jim?
Well, first of all, the Jets fired Saleh, and that was probably throwing the guy under the bus because there's a lot of problems on the team. And I think the biggest problem is Aaron Rodgers. He's not Tom Brady. I know everybody says he's a great player. He can pass the ball. Maybe one of the greatest natural passers of the ball ever. But he's not a guy that works like Tom Brady. He's maybe close to the same age. He's not as healthy as he used to be. He is coming off the Achilles. I'm not that enamored with him, but I will say this. The Jets have a good defense, but remember this. Saleh was a great defensive head coach. He's not there anymore. Now they have a different head coach. They got a different offensive play caller, and they got a different defensive coach.
Yep.
So there's a lot of changes here mid-season. I'm not that crazy about him. I don't know how much Adams will fit into this game plan because he hasn't been there for a while. I don't understand. Here's the thing: is Pittsburgh opened the favorite in this game. They were -1. Now you're taking 2.5. I mean, I can't do that. I cannot go in there and lay 2.5 with the Jets in this spot. I'm going to have to be on Pittsburgh, especially if I can either get 3 or buy cheap to 3. Tomlin is a good head coach. He's been there a long time. He's never had a losing season. They lost their last game against Dallas at home. Yes, they didn't play all that well. They're making a change from Fields to Wilson. I don't know what the hell we're going to get out of Wilson. Former Super Bowl winner, as Rodgers is as well. But Wilson hasn't played well in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's why they got him out of Seattle. They got him out of Denver. They paid him more money to get out of Seattle and to Denver to get out. So they just get rid of him. So I don't know what the heck you're going to get. You've got a real quarterback problem here, because who has more potential at quarterback is Rodgers. I don't know what the hell to do with the game.
Yeah, I maybe the way to go is the total. I mean, the Jets have the number 2 ranked defense. You said they had a great defense. They're only allowing 273 yards a game. And Pittsburgh, of course, is number 1 in rushing defense. So maybe you compound these two things and the game stays under the total. All right, now
I would agree with that.
I'll throw something in there. Pittsburgh has 14 sacks this year, and they're missing a key linebacker with 2.5 sacks. So they're pretty much the pressure they're going to get comes from T.J. Watt, and that's it. So bear that in mind, and I think Rodgers is actually going to have some time to throw. When you give him time to throw, that's when he's most dangerous. So
he's very dangerous if you give him time. Definitely.
Yeah, Rodgers doesn't look the same to me, but moving on. Let's before we close here, Jim, do you have any one of these games out there aside you'd like to post for free from gamblersworld.net?
Well, first of all, I do have quite a few games posted. I think I have 3 or 4 totals already posted, and I got some sides up there as well. So we're looking for a big week. Boy, it's a good card. Do I have anything that is outstanding? If the Rams get Cooper Kupp back, you have a huge coaching edge. You have a huge quarterback edge
over the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders stink. They're just bad.
Yeah, they are.
And the ownership is questionable. It's a father down to a son situation. He's learning his new job as the owner. I would have to say the Rams, anything under a touchdown, I don't know. It's if they get Kupp back for the Rams, I think it's pretty much a gimme.
The Rams drew my attention as a 1-win team favored by virtually a touchdown. Paul, you got anything out there for our audience?
Well, if you're looking for a free play, I'm going to have a bunch of games up there. There's no question. Right. I do favor Seattle this week. I think Atlanta is near the bottom of the league in terms of rush defense, and I think that was a very misleading score, 38-20 over Carolina. Panthers were actually driving for the tying touchdown at 28-20, and Andy Dalton threw an unfortunate interception at or near the goal line. So Atlanta just isn't a very good team. Their offense is erratic. Their defense, as I said, stopping the run, not very good. And they got hit with a few injuries during that Carolina game. So I do favor Seattle here, and I think they're going to score some points.
And that number is relatively cheap. It's a field goal or under a field goal. So bookmaker is giving Seattle a decent chance. And this is a team that's lost 3 straight games coming in.
I'd like to add something to that, Paul. Notice, I agree with you. Atlanta doesn't put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They're not very good at that. And if you give Geno time with their they have tremendous wide receivers on that team.
Yeah.
Easily, what Paulie said, you could see a lot of points in this because I think Geno's going to have a lot of time.
Chuba Hubbard ran right through him. You could look down the docket. Atlanta hasn't stopped anybody on the ground. Now, you just made a great point. They have a prolific passing offense. When you have a prolific passing offense and you can get your running game off, boy, that's going to open up a lot of things. And I've been against Seattle last 2 weeks. First against the Giants, gave it out as a free play right here. And I was also on the Niners the other last Thursday night, and that was a relatively easy cover. But, things change, and the situation is different. Styles make fights, and this fits right into Seattle's mojo. They should win the game.
All right. Thank you, Paulie. And Jim, if I had to give out a free play, I think the one I'm looking at is the under on the Pittsburgh game with the Jets, because of the Jets defense and the Pittsburgh's question marks still at quarterback. We don't know what's going on there. But so that's about it for our NFL Week 7 right here at gamblersworld.net. Chip Chirimbes for Jim Feist and Paul Bovi says, log on, follow the Vikings, become a winner, and find out what it takes with the discipline and consistency that all three of us have right here. Guys, thank you very much. Good luck this weekend, and good luck to everyone out there. And remember, like they used to say in New York, bet with your head and not over it so you can stay in the game. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, guys.